Okay. Okay, good evening to everybody. Welcome to the summer school with Studio 34. Thank you, first of all, for the invitation to this event. It's my pleasure to be part of it. And I will start with a little bit introduction of myself. I'm working in academia. I'm an associate professor at the German University in Cairo, and I'm working architecture urban design program. And for this lecture, I prepare for you an overview and to open the critics and discussion with all the audience about the water as a topics in the landscape design. Well, first of all, just I provoke the issue about the landscape. Everything exists within the landscape. Then the landscape architect, all of us, we are landscape architect from the small scale for the large scale. We must learn to design everything. Design everything, but of course we cannot specialize in everything, but we have to consider the entire city, especially if you're working in the scale of the city, in the scale of the urban and design. I'm starting from the very, very small scale because I know the furniture, as you know, this is a very wrong type, by the way. Street furniture is not a very nice word for me, but the book is amazing and I really suggest to use as a reference. And I took from this book, part of the book is touching the topic of the water in the street design, okay? And there is a section, plants and water here. There are a few projects from the few projects, and this is the chapter. I was working with different topics in the small scale, let's say, in the design of scales, in the human scales, design of the furniture, design of the urban interior as a new terminology is used in the urban design and landscape architecture. And this is the chapter plants and water. I pick some of the project, very, very small one. This is with the new technology and the 3D laser and form. We start to use the water from the very, very teeny element. And of course, the fountain is one of these one. How to bring water in outdoor space, how it's working. It's a spot as a function, as activity is create activity and attraction of people in the urban space. And this is the book is working like a classification of project. There are references also from the designer of this one, and it's touching the materiality and the composition of this little element. Okay, all of them are contemporary design. And then I went through the web page of the architect to understand better and I find a little bit more explication and reference, you know. And then from the single element we can consider as a decoration, as a complete of the design, etc. We have okay, I will go more slowly. We have the design of the outdoor space, the design of outdoor space where the water can be an important element and topics, and we're moving on from the previous one, from the fountain as a single spot with the function of the water, the contemporary design. We are moving on the design of the small space. It could be terrace, a courtyard, could be a garden. And here we have also the plan, okay, the site plan with the definition of the element of the water, okay. The book is very, very useful. All of these are contemporary design. Then we move a little bit more when the design of water is coming from the single element. It's going to be between performance and sculpture. Again, it's the spot of the water, where the water is fundamental in outdoor space because create a microclimate and the water is good for benefit of psychologically, mentally, you know. But the water is working on aesthetic level too. And this is a kind of a sculpture design. Very interesting, very nice composition and spot, also the material. And but it's a single element kind of structure there in the middle with this crossing point. Also play with the visual art because using this keyword, the kind of message is very close to public art. Public art, it's it's very close to urban design because it's the way to play in outdoor space with the element of art to generate a space for everybody. Okay, this is interesting. It's called Square, this project, but basically it's a little fountain. Then moving on, you can play with the curves, you can play with the geometry. This is an example of very regular space. Is a mix between the bench, and the fountain, how the element of the water could be integrated with the other design, okay? And integrate with the green element also. This is another important issue, is another example of project, young architect. And then this is moving a little bit more, where the element of the water has been used to generate the landscape around a very important project. We are in New York City. This is the project, this is the landscape design, okay, the design of the surrounding around the museum and the memorial. But the topic of the water and the way the architects are playing with the water is very, very interesting because it's like an icon symbol. Then I went through this project. Let me open the curiosity, and I was reading about the memorial, okay, how large is the project, what is the philosophy beside the memorial, what's the meaning, why the water is really important. Now I went through the website, the memorial and the museum, because we are talking about design with the water and the landscape, close a very important site and context, also very, very significant. And the topics of the water play as a reference is a very sensitive subject because many people dead there. It's a memorial, it's something, open space, outdoor, urban design, but it's symbolic, it's an icon, it's a landmark for the community, okay? Instead of the two big tower in New York has been collapsed through this terrorism attack, this is came out with this very different design. This is the definition, the plan of the true pool, okay? The ground, the footprint of the tower has been transformed into big pool. Now, here the water is taking a very, very important symbol for the project. It's very significant. It's not just add the water, but it's to give to the water the symbol of the meaning of this place, very, very important. And then also the topics of the water and the movement and the sound of the water with this big geometry. It's integrate again with the green because the project is taking a surviving tree and is integrated with the new design of the museum. Then I went because I really like this architect, for example, said, let me see if maybe shall I find something interesting for the students are going to. And I searched about this studio, the Olin Studio, and I look about the project, came out Alexandria Waterfront, and of course developed my curiosity, and then I tried to enter in different projects, try to understand the philosophy of them. As you are in your educational level or your study, it's very important for you to develop research, to understand very well how could be your inspiration, from where you are taking reference. Today, you are living in this digital era, and we are living in a global community. Basically, you can search everywhere, you can learn from everything, but be careful. Try to be curious and develop the curiosity on a certain language and a certain level. Now, if, for example, this type of project of this reference create just an example, just the way, a method to work and study, okay? Create your some curiosity to search more and say, let me look what they're doing. If these are a group of architects, they are working just in a small scale or they're working also in a large project. And I found in the website different experience, different work. This is a project, is working on a more large scale and is taking care of the border water line. The topic is a park, design also with the greenery. But I really like, for example, the representation of the 3D axonometric section, where we can see how this system is working. How is the function, the management, because the water is not only aesthetic, it's not just put a pot of water there, a fountain or square. But when we are dealing with waterfront, riverside, the topic is coming a little bit complicated, more stronger. And of course, the use of the collage to visualize how the site and the area change when the people will be there. You know, you are more familiar than me with the rendering and the visualization of the project. I work also in this element called Pier, like an extension of the built environment on the water, like a platform. Is again, this project is in New York. And it's interesting the way they play with the materiality and shaping this element. And they are looking how this place is coming, you know, as a gathering point for the social life. At the same time, how this is quite aggressive, let's say, because it's an extension of the city on the water, how this is work in terms of accessibility and let's say interaction with the community, how they're responding, if the people like this place or not, because you can have something amazing, but then the test is the community accept, because if you are not designing a nice space, the people will not go there, and in that case will be really the fail of the project. How is working with this interaction with different levels. This is the level of the platform, and this is the level of the underground of the green. And now all the project is talking with this language of intersection and fragment and shaping. And now also, again, we backed a little bit to the furniture, the element of the small scale are of course part of this level of design. But they're dealing also with a large project. This is the kind of master plan, and the element of the water in that case, it's a significant element in the pattern. Okay, it's another scale. It's a scale of the park. There is the study of the analysis of all the fauna and flora there, the habitants, the element, the ecosystems. It's something very important to consider in the design of water. And this is a case of bring back the contact with the water, the community, discover, they create a park with accessibility. It's a green way, it's a path, okay? And they, of course, come out with successful responding from the community, because the community, if the river is not accessible, people are not going there. But if the designer providing a good accessibility, a good path, people start to come back and to reconnect with the nature. And this is an example of activity in, we are living in Cairo, you know, the difficult to have a green space, a park. And when people, this is the case of New York, they are living in a very dense area, they're looking for a place to stay together, to practice activity, sport activity, because we need for our health, for our benefit. This is a case of yoga, this is a case of people are running there. Then there is another case of park is more inside of the urban context, and it's very interesting, the materiality, the language, they're working very well with wood, okay, because of course each project has material, form, shape, technology, technicality behind to maintain the water, how to manage this element to design the water. Okay, and this is very important. This is the case. I want to touch the point and reflect a bit on the topics night and day. This element designed by the water became very attractive. They organize some event, temporary activity where the people are gathering together and using the space. And another point is the nighttime. Design with water, this is meaning think deeply and consider the reflection of architecture. With the water, everything is coming double. This is a very important recommendation. And we had also, of course, the topic of the light and the color, because the space supposed to be light, safe, and useful 24 hours, and good to think and different season and the different time of the day. This is the case when play with the water and it's coming like ephemeral design and the touching also technology. We are moving on the digital era. And this is an example of curtain with water, with light, and with the interesting issue. It's coming like a performance, okay? But this is some principle about the street furniture design. I found in the article of this project. Now, you have to orient people by the identity, function, and unity. Function. What is the activity? What is it? There is a stair, there is a square, there is a bench to sit there. identity, what is the history, the culture, what is the lifestyle. Maybe this project is working in a certain context in Canada, but it's not working in South Africa. You understand what I mean? When we are going to design something, we are going to design something for the community, for the people. And when we design a public space, except as a semi-public, semi-private, of course, the design inside the shopping mall or inside the gate community or inside the campus of the university is different than when you design the night corniche, for example, when it's open to everybody, or you design as a park. It's very important also to consider the users and the lifestyle of the context. This is how this space can become very attractive, very live, and very ephemeral, as I mentioned before. But we need also that. We don't need all the hospital, we don't need all the theater, we don't need all the school, but we need a space for our life to stay together. This is an example. And this is, let's call it's a public art, as I mentioned before, because it's a topics where the water generate an attraction. Basically, we don't need this wall with this color, but it's something can generate the mix with the design of public space and art together. This is a short video how it's working. Now, of course, this one was the sponsor of this project to show another project too, how the technology beside. But you saw the project is very simple, just as a composition of the water with a certain grid, but people enjoy, people like it. Of course, depending on the budget, depending on the context, but basically the element of the design of the video are water with a system, and this movement of water, the dynamic, is creating this interesting shape and environment in the evening, play with the water and technology. Maybe we don't, I don't know exactly. And during the day also can have a function of refreshment because the water can create a very nice microclimate inside the city. Just example. Then we move on. There's another example when the water, this is basically what the cover of my presentation, a project from very famous office firm of architecture, and is the way to reuse space, but to use the water as an element to play. And it's a project, I think so, in Asia, if I'm not wrong. It's reuse all the shopping mall, in case of regenerative intervention. Okay, and read the design is copying a bit Burle Marx. Have a look. Burle Marx was a very famous landscaper in 1960. And using this organic design and shape, so curves and shape, okay? The element of the water is in the middle in this strong grid. There is a border, okay? Now, the strategy is to regreenery into the city. Again, is the mix of the element of the water and the element of the green design. And this generates this artificial landscape, not really natural. But this is how the people enjoy and using that, and also this effect with the vapor. Okay, it's a kind of landscape, and this is a successful project, and is the way to have an intervention. The project responding to abandoned space in this case is reusing the shopping mall. And look at the end of the story, this texture, this pattern. Also at the night, play with the light, play with the water, play with the sound. This is generate this interesting pattern. Then we move on the topic waterfront. The waterfront is the topic of the promenade design. This is a very, very good reference and book. I really suggest to add on your library and to consider as a as a point to search something, because the book is working with different projects in different contexts and touching the point of the border between the water and the land, between the city and between the city and the sea, the lake, doesn't matter. One of the interesting projects, recently very contemporary, is the very famous floating island in New York. Now, this is a case of design with water, design on the water, create this platform. Now, this is kind of aggressive design. It's strong. It's language. It's designed to what? But let's see how it works. Project is the transformation of the River Pier 55 into a rhythmical urban park and performance venue. This project, besides create a platform, 2.4 acre park, 132 concrete pots from the park design. When we are talking about sustainable design, we must be very careful, very, very careful, because it's sustainable, but I don't know, maybe we can discuss about that. And there are around 700 seat place amphitheater. This is how it looks. This is the language, very strong, very massive, and then very teeny on the water. This is in the work in progress. It's interesting form. It's an amazing design, of course, but you know, we have to think about the materiality and the fact this is how looking at the night. It's really a floating, interest, magic park with this shape, also mind the novel, and this the blue-green design, of course, because it's the match of the design on the water with the green element. There's a short video, tell us the story. Also, the economical aspect very important. The budget, the cost.
People say, "Why did you do this?" And it's my family, my wife certainly. We love public art and public places, and we're lucky enough because we have some resources. But the real reason to do it is this: it's to see people be happy in the city. They come, they cross that bridge from New York, all that New York is, and they walk up the bridge and they enter this place, and it's a little bit kind of like Oz. I mean, it's another dimension of it. I mean, I don't want to go too far with it, but it makes people happy. Anytime I come to something, any place in the world that's been there for a long time, a park, a statue, a something, I go, gee, how did that actually happen 80, 100, whatever years ago? And usually it is somebody, you know, some oddball or some whatever said, there's an idea here. So the idea that maybe 100 years from now, people will come on it and say, that's something. I mean, if I could push myself, there's where I'd go. It was not actually a pony ride. I mean, we went through 3 years almost, maybe even 4 years of litigation, and got to the point where my family said to me, "Will you please stop nonsense? I mean, go where you're wanted." Governor Cuomo, he did reach out and save it. For a year, first of all, we were completely deserted. You remember when, it looked like a nuclear blast had taken out all of the humans. There was nothing on the streets. But now you're coming out of it and you see it on the streets. People are happy.
Well, the video, it's interesting. I like it. People are happy. Okay. But as you know, the project is composed from different aspects: the environmental impact, the social impact, and the economical one. And this project is touching everything. I don't know, there is a question now. I cannot respond. I will carry on with the notes because it's not clear to me the way I analyze the question of our people may think needs was just a brilliant. Yes, he started, of course, he tried to promote. And this is, I took this project for you because this project, you know, in Remarca, we lived in the pandemic and was very straight in New York. And to create an extension of the green space, probably the moment it generates the project is really when the people need this kind of space. But let's see in a long time, because, you know, the impact of the construction there is very tough. It's very strong. And another point, the maintain. We can design, we can dream a floating space. We will see, I will arrive until the floating city with this presentation, but who is going to maintain? And how strong will be the impact? Okay, just a reflection to discuss later. This is another way to treat the pier, to design beside the water. It's another language. It's very minimal, it's very soft, it's very delicate. It's a kind of dialogue with the nature. Look soft, the merging point with the water. It's very elegant. It's another language, and you have to learn from different language because it's very, very important. And also the graphic representation and the formula is completely different. It's massive a bit here, but it's very, very, very soft. This is also here the section where we can see the relationship with the green element, the platform until the water, some description of the design. This element, I don't know. We can discuss maybe about how these elements are considered addition. Furniture, really. You must be careful and you have try to design everything by your own design, not add and fill the space with the table and chair and the kiosk everywhere. This is a very sensitive topic in urban design. Please, I really recommend that. Of course, sometimes some element, look, again, the topic of the water. This element, okay, is that the water in the night, the way to play with the light. It's a very sensitive topic, designed close to the water. Think about night and daytime. It's completely different project. It's completely different environment. You must be careful. You have to be prepared and know the type of light, on the technicality and everything. That is interesting. This is interesting reading about the sensorial space. And in this article, I found this project I know is located in Croatia. And it's very, very an example how to play with the minimal design and how to play with the sensorial space. Look at the video, I will see this project.
As you stroll through the old town in Zadar, you may hear a whisper of delicate notes created by the chords of nature itself. Commissioned in 2005 by architect Nicola Bashi and expert Dalmatian stone carvers, the sea organ was created to connect the locals back to the Adriatic Sea. Carved into the steps of the sea from promenade, 35 organ pipes sketch the sounds of entering and escaping the hollowed-out halls, producing a unique soundtrack exclusive to Zadar. The sound played by the various movements is the result of the different lengths and sizes of the organ pipes. Chiseled into 7 steps, 7 chords of 5 tones can be heard from this installation. Only changing to make your way down the lane.
Of course, the video, it's a promotional video, context like a touristic, but explain, not explain the technical level or for architect, but with this overview we can understand. Now, this is a special project and is the way to reach a poetic space, okay? When the architect, in this case, really understand completely the environment and the context, to respond, okay, because the project this project respond. Each project is a solution. This project redesign the promenade, okay, but the way the architect Nicola Basic to respond, it's very poetic. Let me read one question. For the residential building, how we can guarantee children safe considering the planning somewhat spot? Okay. Yes, this is another topic for the children. It's a very interesting question. Thank you. Of course, you have to, you know, this place is this is a case not safe for children. They can jump to the water. We cannot have everything. This is a very poetic, but it's not on the regulation, the safety, and this and that. But of course, the topics of the children is very, very important. And on the design, we must consider and take care. I will arrive later in Egypt. One case very, very interesting. I will give you one comment about that. Pass it this one. Here we are. Here we are. This is the topic of the Nile Corniche. This is an old photo of the Nile Corniche before in front of the Nile Ritz-Carlton. I think you're very familiar, very close Egyptian Museum. And this is the new project. This is the brief summary of the project in the Nile Corniche. We are not entering any comment about, just we see that is the change in our city. Very, very interesting. And I work with my student there I set my student there to have a perception of this space, to understand in my course of urban sociology, in the course of urban design too, because it's a very interesting dynamic. And in Friday morning, you know, this is a picture how is the lifestyle. And the culture, the Corniche is very important in Cairo and it's part of our life. People are going there to celebrate and take a selfie and breathing the fresh water from the Nile and gathering together. It's the culture, it's a part of the life. It's not only design space, it's the people are moving there. It's the life, a jungle comment. And this is the context of the Nile Corniche, the new one. And our this is some photo before, not with a lot of people, how the design is it, invading, entering a bit water and shaping, extending a little pier, a little spot on the water. And I saw once kids play with this parking of the bike. It's incredible. And the question how we can guarantee, the kids start to play with this empty furniture. Okay, imagine probably in this design missing something for them, because why they use one thing is for another function for them. But of course, the project will be evaluated through the time, to the use of the community. Nothing is perfect. There are also some elements are interesting in the Nile Corniche about the shading element as a part of the design. Or then this is not design with the water. This is design beside the water. And shape design close to the water element. I mentioned before the social, the environmental, and the economic impact. These three elements together will generate a sustainable design. This is an example from a manual, okay, and generate the water quality design environment. And we're moving on to think on a sensitive way of the urban design. And there is a water sensitive urban design is a kind of approach like tactical urbanism, like urban acupuncture. Okay, this is an example in Hong Kong where you are considering also the ground. This is a section, how is this management of water? And there are three spots of the intervention. Rain garden, where they filter, and we are talking about permeability. And there is habitat creation, educational near the waterfront, the mixity of the function, and then the treatment, the biological treatment of the park. This is talking about natural-based solution, okay? Why that? Because it's very important. This is a data from 1993 from the Environmental Protection Agency from USA. We have to think when we are going to design and play with water and match with the green element about the permeability, about porosity. And this is just a diagram show us the different when you have different type of approach of intervention. Now we are thinking about fun activity, use the bike, the city by bike, nice material and this and that. But what's going on in terms of maintenance? This could be nice form and design and aesthetic and composition. But what's going on in the management of the water? How is the technicality? How is the level of the ground, how this water is going. Now, the management is very, very important in urban design, especially when you want to add the element of the water. This is, I don't know if it's an open course from TU Delft, but you can find interesting material there. Anyway, I will share my presentation and there are all links below. You can go more deeply with the reference. And this is an article from The Guardian, very old, I think 20 years ago. The water sensitive design is the way to integrate the water with the urban planning. Okay, it's not just add the element of the water, but mix together and think together as an organism of that. And I found from this article, very interesting, a very nice manual about, it's like guidelines about the water. And I took some pages. I was reading some interesting reflection over water, people, and place. Okay, we have water, we have the community, and then we have the place with identity, how to manage. And when the water define our place, because it's for the vitality, for the identity, for the activity, and for the issue, and for the landscape. There are the different water. Our place contains many types of water. There is water, the flooding is a risk. There is a surface water, is a kind of mechanical facade, things like this. Is the gray water, is in the drainage. It means water has a different layer and form. This was an interesting resume when the urban design, landscape, and placemaking and urban planning at a different scale, they together, they can consider this issue to develop a project with a water sensitive urban design approach. Well, water is symbolic and it's very important in Islamic garden. This is not my culture, I'm Italian, I'm still learning and understanding, but this is something arrived also in Europe and in my country, especially in the south part of Italy. We took from the Arab culture and the topics of the Islamic garden, develop a lot in our culture, a very huge influence. And it's very, very important because we already mentioned identity, culture, lifestyle. When we are going to design something, we have to respect and we have to understand the roots of the community and the sense of the place. Now, of course, Alzar Park, it's a very interesting spot. I bring my student there and I suggest to visit the park, to sketch, to take a photo, to learn from this amazing experience. And this is one of the book available, and to understand how all the project, all the history, how it is not only the park, but the project is working with Aga Khan Foundation, of course, is very sensitive, you know, and how is the connection with the green spot in Cairo, with the Nile also, and how this project is very significant because transformed from the West Hill to a space open for everybody within a very interesting design. This is how the project looks. It's like I had an exercise with my student 3-4 years ago to compare Alzar Park with the New York City Park. It was really nice for them to sketch the section, and we had a visit in the Alzar Park. Understand also the topography, no? And there is a lot in Alzar Park about the water design, the lake, and also the lake has a very significant issue on the recycling and on the environmental impact, and the water as an element of the composition is coming from the Islamic garden too. This is the view and the visual connection with the city. It's stunning and amazing with the landmark of the citadel, the geometry, the design with the vegetation and the green element in this space. And also by night a bit, and then of course when the water is coming, element of connection and it's a playful place making, is a space where the kids and the youngers really enjoy a lot. The design of water through, of course, detail and materiality and the language and the type of stone and the type of marble, all of these kind of things, how the fountain working. And the topics of the lake and mixed with another kind of design. We are more geometrical, and here we have a little bit more natural one. It's very interesting, the spot. Again, the topic of the reflection, the topic of the different seasons. It's not on a very good condition at the moment, it's area, but it's a very interesting design between the architecture, the building, and the surrounding ground. Very, very nice. And of course, this spot is very attractive also for the tourists. And the people like to go there, to have a picnic. It's a traditional issue, like in Turkey. When I was in Turkey, I lived in Turkey for a while at the summer school with my students there. I remember people are gathering and they're getting this picnic. The people are living there. They like so much. This is the master plan. Okay, this project is coming out from a very serious plan in a very large scale because it's a large project, all the function and activity. This is the vision. Okay, I was interested in the composition and the design. It's more and more with all the function. How is the relationship with the surrounding? Because this is a very, very interesting context with the urban pattern around. This is a very long discussion. It's a very interesting video. I really suggest to watch because it's the way the architect responding, and there is something about the site. Shall I shift a bit on the point of the interview? I really like it when they're talking about
orchards where one could reach out and pluck fruit straight from the tree. Originally, Cairo was founded around one of these fruit gardens, and today, Al-Azhar Park has brought that back to the center of the city.
In Gardens of the Orient, the bustan or fruit garden represents something essential for an Egyptian. From time of the pharaohs, almost 5,000 years ago till today, Egyptians have always loved fruit or something edible in their gardens.
when we are talking about identity and sense of the place, understand the history, understand the community, you know, the architects, the true architect design the park, they are going through the ancient time to recognize all the important elements to design something for the future. Design an interior, you can remove, you can change. But when you design a park, you cannot remove the day after. You have to think in a longer time. You have to think about the vegetation, the green element. You have to think about many things. And it's very, very important to learn, to reading the site, to reading the context, but not only the physical environment, also the community, the culture, the society, to understand very, very well. And this is a very interesting project in Cairo. I really suggest to put your attention and learn something. The sensitive approach for the water, why also Al-Azhar Park is not only a park, it's not only aesthetic, but is working as a machine for the cycling the water and this and that. It's very important, and this is moving project and the sensitive approach on the blue and green acupuncture. Okay, when we are playing, for example, with the cycle of the water for the plants, and the plants are generate other benefit. This is also a good graphic. I think it's a project from student, if I'm not wrong, from a World Research Institution, and explaining very well how the project is working. I'm sure you are facing during your study a similar project and context. There are two, I took two examples. One is about the small open space, how can be integrate. Now with this icon reference is very, very clear, the project. This is a project from student. This is a website, ASLA Student Awards, and it's coming from the American Society of the Landscape Architects. You can find interesting projects from students. This one, I used it a long time ago in a reference in one of my lectures. And it's interesting. Maybe you can go to the website. It's the way to think the water management, okay? And how from the scale of the simple spot will be split in all the area to regenerate all of these areas. Very, very interesting. The city is divided in self-sufficient area, and this is an example of prototype. I think so. Now we're moving a little bit more on the sustainable design. We are talking about the nature-based solution. And this is an example. Vietnam. In Asia, as you know, is a very dense area. They're very careful. This is the background. Again, is a weather sustainable urban design. And this is the concept. What is the IVEA? Natural state and altered state. How it's working through diagram. The schema has been represented, and how this concept has been applied in the building, in the plaza, in the road, and in the car park. Okay, using the issue of the transpiration, this is the concept, the vegetable bioswale, and then the surface with the bioretention basis. And then this is the techniques, are on the concept of the design. This is the application, how has been transferred, okay, how the greenery is working as a transpiration, how the storage of the water, they collect the water and they're recycling the water, okay? Everything is working by cycle. This is multi-edge treatment types. Is there more and more application in such a border? And there are waterway, boardwalk, platform, step, and naturalized bank, different spots. The project is interesting because it's talking about the social impact and the benefit for the future generation. If you involve the kindergarten, if you involve the school, if the project is working with the educational level for the future generation, it's something amazing. Absolutely, there's no doubt, no question about that. And this is how it's working in the city. This is the spot of the design strategy. Okay, how is more and more the application of the concept in the real fact, and this is different action, let's say, the mitigation of the flood risk and the supporting the urban regeneration, and before was creating a livable space with the nature, with the design of water, pool and pond and the canal. And then this is the critical aspect after, how by through this approach we can have a lot of benefit and knowledge for the design, communication and participation involving the community, and of course in the political leadership and planning, because planning is belong to the government, is the way to support. The government sometimes asking help for guidelines and reference to design the better city. They need. The topics of the sponge city. Eva looks what is said.
Floods are enemies. We can make friends with flood. We can make friends with water. What we should do is just define ancient wisdom. What we have done is totally wrong. We think we can use concrete to channelize the river. We think we can use to protect the city from being flooded.
This is a completely different philosophy of the pier in New York, where the guy, the architect or the project manager, I don't know, it was a fan of not creating a big platform in concrete on the river. This is completely different approach. But you have to see, you have to learn from different, you have to listen different music, create your own music, where you will be with your office or with your society or with your company, or you will work in the government or the NGO, it doesn't matter. You will shape the future, the urban future.
Drop city from being flooded. We drain away all the water. We're filling all the lakes to build the city, and that will cause flood and drought. So you can see every year, city being flooded. In 2012, 79 people get drowned in Beijing. It's simply because we destroyed the natural system. We didn't give water enough space. You have to understand that those great infrastructures are actually pillars of the natural system, which we have to depend on for our sustainable future. Sometimes we have better solutions, the best solutions, which can provide us the same or better services. The idea of sponge city is allow the natural flow and come back. Use a wetland system with a sponge system to to retain water, it keeps water instead of drain away. But then people ask, you have beautiful idea, you have create a harmonious relationship between nature and man, between the water and the city. But how is that? We actually remove the flood wall, we retreat the dikes and create eco-friendly terraces so that the land and water will meet depending on the different levels of flood. So during the monsoon season is for the flood. During the dry season, it becomes a park for everyday use. Instead of hard, gray, concrete bank, now we bring back the lives, the clean water, the lush vegetation, the birds and the fish come back. And people just love it. So it's become a park in the center of the city. I want to show people that green solution works. From that one city 20 years ago, now we have 250 Chinese cities having us doing projects. Groups global-wise are suffering the same problem. The ecological-based or nature-based solution can be a solution global-wise.
I got a few questions from you. We will have later space question, but just because maybe first of all, I will share my presentation. In the presentation, there are all the link, the YouTube, the reference. You can go more deeply, and then you must be curious and go from one to another one in Google manual and whatever you will find. A very nice things for you. Anyway, I can leave my email. I can be available for you if you like. Will be in place, or during the question we discuss more. The second one about the spot of the water. Well, I'm not expertise on that. I cannot reply, but I understand what is your doubt. How we can calculate? Well, this is the case in Asia, in the very humid area. Okay, but then the case of New York was completely different. Political statement, government, welfare, society, economy, and culture. You see the different attitude. There is a very nice balance and approach to back with the nature. In New York, it's another level of project. Now, depending on the context, and we must respect the climate condition and the area. This project is not possible to apply here in Cairo, maybe in such out of the Delta, but the temperature and the weather is completely different. Okay, I hope my response is good, but we can discuss later after I finish. Well, the point is basically not only for the environment, but when we are talking about the social impact, we are talking about health benefit in the sponge city. And this is very important. You cannot underestimate. In Cairo, we are living in a mega city. The demography is growing up. The infrastructure is growing because it's a big city. And we must take care about the community and the population keep in a good condition, because the pollution and the environment can generate a very big problem for the community. And when we are going to design something can take care of the community, people get the benefit. And this is a different, we are not doctors, we're not psychologists, okay, we're not sociologists. We're using all this discipline to understand. But here there are action in the design can generate benefit for the community. I'm reading the question, 1 second. When the design can make a typical lake? Yes, the topics of a typical lake is another story, very, very important, depending if the water is available, depending of the temperatures, the water can live very easily. About the point of the health condition and the benefit, people have to have a physical environment that allow us to move freely, to scratch out. We need the contact with the nature. We need the fresh air. We need the sun. We need the water. We need the color flower. This is in the physical, mental needs of the humans. We cannot forget about that, please. And also, you see, in the Alzar Park project, the architect mentioned this relationship from the pharaonic era. This is very important. We must learn from the past. Sustainability is nothing new. It's nothing new. It's something like come back with a good harmony and balance with the environment. We lost it. We became very urban. The topic of the water and come back in the small scale, this is a very peculiar intervention. It's a case in a very global south area. It's a case in Ethiopia, if I'm not wrong. It's a case in a very difficult context, where the water is precious. Okay. And this designer invents this element, very interesting. It's a case of design, not the furniture, and has been recognized in the Biennale of Venice, if I'm not wrong, in 2012. Very interesting. Is the way, is the tower producing water. And this is the element. And the water is coming from this net, okay, from the special moment of the day. And is the way to recover the community, especially in a very particular context where the people suffering for the scarcity of water is another big topic in the environmental impact. Probably this is interesting for you. This is a very nice manual. I don't know, maybe not for the first and second year at the university, but maybe later. And it's out of water. It's design solution for the arid region. And this is our case. It's a very, very interesting context. The book is structured very, very, very well. You can find in our library GUC also, but things is available somewhere in order you can buy. And it's interesting the way classify all the project and the element. There are projects on different level, how to put the water with technology from the more scale, from the large scale. And how to providing the issue of the water in a specific context, and how the water can generate also after this interesting water design, to visualize the project by the collage. It's a very common language for you. And then the issue of the Vadi, and there are several examples and cases studied there to understand how this works. This is a very interesting one I select. Is a bioremediation facility. And well, all of this project, all of this reflection for today is to keep the water of tomorrow, because water is very precious. Water is life. And whatever you're going to do from the fountain in the beginning, from the sponge city, from the park, from the lake, from the water to play, you must be careful and sensitive to design something that will be sustainable on the social, environmental, and the economical aspect. There is a new trend moving on, invading the water. With our design to invading the water. This is the topic of the unaffordable housing issue and design on the water floating design. From the floating design of the single unit, we are moving on this scenario, okay, of the large city on the water. This is the new utopia, especially from the very big famous Office of Architecture. Organic City is one of the case. It's an interesting project. You have to learn about the future. You have to be curious. You have to look at utopia also. But be careful. Be careful on the environmental impact of this kind of things. What's going on below the platform? How the people are moving? How is the cost of this self-sufficient big island? Just think and try to learn, understand very well. This is how the project is working. It's mentioned is working everything. We develop goals, but let's see. It's a very sensitive issue, and there are also always impact. This is very fascinating because taking the reference and icon from the crystal of the snow. But it's a very, very huge impact and very massive on the water. And the water has their balance and the ecosystem. You must be very careful also. This is just to close my presentation. It's a performance. It's topics in the public art. Let's back to the leisure time. And it's a project of Cristo. Cristo was a very famous, very famous artist in land art. put a sculpture and element on the landscape. It's amazing work, amazing project, stunning. It's a performance to walking on the water in the Como Lake in Italy. This was the project, the drawing, and this is the short trailer of the documentary. I watched it 2 years ago. The film My Design in downtown was an amazing lesson about to think how to play with the water.
I love real things. Real things. Real things. Real wind, real dry, real wet, real fear, real joy. I do not see. Now all our projects they work so far and they're totally useless. This is only because myself I to see them and to realize it. Project like that. I'm sorry. There's no nice things in that. I like to see the public secure to that. Fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. Look at that. I like to thank you for everything, for your courage and your determination to help us to keep that project going. You know, it's a very, very demanding project. It's almost like gardening, like huge garden. You need to keep everything in good order. Do not open fabric before confinement is done. Machines on.
I told us that the maximum we will ever have 45,000.
Exactly that.
Start with that conversation. If we continue with this, there will be an accident. I guarantee you. It's impossible to have an accident.
Well, this is an example, an utopia, a very famous artist, Eva Look, who was Christo before. He realized the dream to walk on the water. This project is amazing. It's a land art, it's public art, but this project damages a lot the lake. With all of these interventions and create an over tourism situation. 50,000 people get crazy, they block the train station, no toilet, no cafe enough, to no drinking water enough for the people, because people come to go there to make a selfie and to see the place, to have this experience. Now, it's an example. It's an amazing experience. Unfortunately, I couldn't go because I was not in Italy at that time, but it's one of the projects I really like. Well, now I would like to close my talk. We are realizing if you have people walk on bicycle more, you have a more lively city, more livable, more attractive, more safe, as someone mentioned already in the question, more sustainable and more healthy city. And what are you waiting for? Now, this is your time, this is your rules to become a very good architect and to design a very nice place for everybody. Thank you so much. I'm waiting for your question. And we are going on a coffee break now. Bye-bye. See you soon. There is one question more about the water surface. How are the methods that we can follow to design the water surface accessible? There are some useful resources that can help. Please tell us. For the water surface, I think so. Maybe you can have a look at a specific project, but you have to have a look at the section. How is working this water surface? If it's how is the ground, how is the base, which techniques, which kind of context is it? This is very, very important to see the water management. If it's a park, if it's a courtyard, how is the size of this water surface? The standard of the design water area beside the manual give us, and if the city is dry city. Of course, the arid zone is different of the of the humid area like is Indonesia or Thailand. Of course, this is very, very important. But this is why I had at the hand the manual for the arid zone, because you know there are techniques like the permaculture to work and to make it green the desert. Okay, but be careful, we cannot transform everything. We always have to respect a certain balance in the ecosystem. I don't know if the lecture is done, shall I leave or not, but if there is any question, I can leave also my mail to the assistant. You can contact me and I will send the presentation as soon as possible, maybe tomorrow morning. Thank you so much, everybody. I really like your question, and I'm sorry this is not an interactive platform, but I hope you enjoy my presentation. Thank you.